Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show, for another episode of our Raw Reaction series, and specifically the Arsenal News Show. I hope you're doing good. I hope you are well this Thursday. We're nearly there. Friday is tomorrow. We've nearly reached the end of the week. It's kind of bittersweet, isn't it? Because you're going to reach the end of the week, we get to see Arsenal, and then it's the international break. So in a weird way, you don't really want the week to end, but in the same way, a weekend is always welcome, as they say. Good morning to everybody in the chat box. Good morning to Kaiser Social, Henrik. We've got Eamon. We've got Josie. We've got Vinny. We've got Henrik again. We've got Matt, Efes, Spacebad Trooper, Gooner UK, Stevie, Sam, Daniel, Dennis. Good morning to all of you, Mel, Mick, Chris, and another Chris as well. Good morning to all of you. I hope that you are enjoying your mornings or wherever you happen to be in the world, of course. But without further ado, let's crack on with today's show and let you know to make sure that you drop a like on today's video and subscribe to the Gooner Talk if you haven't done so already, and to go over and subscribe also to the Arsenal Way. Link is in the description as always. Let's go to our first story though, and Unai Emery, former Arsenal manager Unai Emery, will not be Newcastle United's bastion of hope towards their newfound success. We say that. We've got to avoid relegation first. Does this surprise me? In a little bit, it does. I kind of expected this to just go through like any other managerial position would, but I think that Emery is very comfortable at Villarreal. They've not had the best start to the season themselves, to be honest, but he seems very comfortable there, very happy with the project that's going on at Villarreal, and Newcastle's inability to sell him their vision is certainly going to be a concern for Newcastle fans. I was speaking to Lee Ryder of the Chronicle yesterday, and Newcastle fans were excited about the idea of Unai Emery. They were very much on board with him becoming their new head coach. But today, or rather yesterday evening, we've learned that indeed he will not be taken over, and that leaves Eddie Howe as the favourite right now to take on that job. And if you're any other club, I mean, even the clubs down the bottom half end of the table, I wouldn't be too concerned about Eddie Howe taking over at Newcastle. It doesn't threaten me as a team that's in the top half and fighting for those European places, which we're told that the Newcastle want to be fighting for. And for that reason, they will now be getting in a manager that was in their last job with Bournemouth relegated. And Newcastle themselves are yet to win a game so far this season, sitting on 4 points from their first 10 Premier League games, and will be fighting for their lives this season if they were to go down, which I've always said I would love to see happen. But it's a big news for them that they did not get Unai Emery, and they will focus on a different target. Now, coming back round to Arsenal, the expectation is that Daniel Ballard is expected to have a contract extension activated, or an option to extend in his current deal, and Arsenal will look to extend it beyond, hopefully, just the year that they have right now. And I think that when you look at what this guy is producing, he's doing very well for Millwall. We're going to be bringing you an update on his time at Millwall as soon as feasibly possible. And he's just been doing fantastically well for Millwall, and he's been one of their best players, you have to argue, especially was at the start of the season. Northern Ireland international, of course, centre-back. And with Arsenal having a big change around of their central defensive area, it could be that Holding goes, it could be that Pablo Mari goes, it could be that Chambers goes in the summer, which would mean that Arsenal would still need to do some work. William Saliba will return, which is going to be really positive, and he could return with Daniel Ballard being promoted to the senior side after this season. And there is a lot of strength in depth in this Arsenal centre-back area, which is not something we've been able to say over recent times, that the centre-back area has been something that we've been a bit concerned about when Holding and Pablo Mari are Arsenal's two starting centre-backs. Now we've got Gabriel and White, which is a big step up, with Saliba also waiting to come back. And Tomiyasu is also a player that can play at centre-back as well. There's plenty to be happy about in this area. So Daniel Ballard, contract extension, waiting in the wings. Good news for Arsenal. Also good news for Arsenal is that Kieran Tierney is expected to be returning to fitness very soon. Speaking ahead of the international break, Steve Clarke, the Scotland manager, has been talking about Kieran Tierney. He says, I think Kieran Tierney will be on the plane, and if he's on the plane, he'll be fit. That's my opinion. But look, you have to respect the club, and the club are telling us he's working his way back to fitness. They're hopeful he could be involved this weekend against Watford. But if he only gets a few days training in, then fine. We don't play until a week on Friday, so he's got time on his side. I expect that Kieran will be fit, which brings with it very, very much a question now. We go into that Watford game. We've got Liverpool after the international break. Do you swap in Kieran Tierney for Nuno Tavares? It's a really difficult question to come to an answer for, because Nuno Tavares has been fantastic for Arsenal so far this season. In the couple of games he's played from the start and the few cameos that he's had from the bench, he has been very, very good. And for that, we know that Kieran Tierney is one of the best left-backs in the league. He is a standout player. Do you start him straight away, and do you then say, sorry, Tavares, but you've been great, but we need to bring back Tierney? Or do you say, stay loyal to the player that's been doing well, keep him in the team? Against Liverpool, I was speaking to Josh Williams, who is our scouting writer over at Reach, and he feels that Tavares' physicality might be good against Mohamed Salah. Now, I think that Kieran Tierney's experience may level that playing field when he comes up against the Egyptian who's played against him before, of course. It's a big, big decision that Mikel Arteta's got to make. But if he is fit, Tierney, it could be that we use both of them. We could switch to a back three against Liverpool and see Tierney play left centre-back like he does for Scotland. Tavares playing on the left wing-back position. So there is options for Arteta. There's decisions that he will have to make, but it is going to be a difficult one. Let us know if you're watching live and if you're watching on catch-up what you would do if you had the decision. Carl says, let Kieran properly recover. Spaceman Trooper says, no, reward the team with no changes against Watford. I would entertain a change against Liverpool. Nikolai says, let Nuno play. Let's go to how annoying. Go away, Steve Clark, says Sam. Yeah, I mean, he's going to go and play for Scotland, isn't he? Even though he's coming back from his injury. He's one of their best players. It's just what happens there. Let's go to Philip, who says, that's what I would do. Play a 3 at the back against Liverpool. Ryan says, think Nuno should play against Watford. Not worth the injury risk. Let him get the minutes for Scotland so he'll be ready for the big game against Liverpool. Vinny says, Tavares was the biggest surprise. So happy with him. I would keep the team the same against Watford. Kieran Tierney at left centre-back and Nuno Tavares at left wing-back says, yes, for food and travel. Jose says, sub him in on Sunday. Voot reckons that Nuno will play. And Matt says, I think we should let him fully recover. Let's not rush him back. Going on to our penultimate. Is this our penultimate? I think actually it's our final story of the day. And it is a transfer line. Not brand new. We have seen this link previously. But Genk striker Paul Onuachu. He's a Nigerian striker, age 27, currently standing over 2 meters in height. Very tall striker. Looks like he would be the plan B that Arsenal maybe are looking for, although Transfermarkt do rate him at a figure of around £19.8 million, which is a hell of a lot. Looking at the links that have been made to him, it is the Italian media Corriere dello Sport that say that both Arsenal and, you'll guess it, Aston Villa are competing for signing the 27-year-old, and offers have already been made. Onuachu has been heavily linked to Arsenal's London rivals West Ham also. However, the Gunners need a striker, and they could push for a January move, with Aubameyang moving on in January for the African Cup of Nations, but returning, of course. And the futures of Lacazette still unclear, and Nketiah are unclear. Ballard could go on loan. Onuachu is a player that would come in, I think, and take on that Lacazette role, that kind of back up to Aubameyang. And then in the summer, Arsenal would pursue possibly a more marquee forward to bring in a player that is going to take on that key number 1 striker position. But Onuachu gives you that height. He gives you that option from the bench. He gives you a partnership option with Aubameyang or with Lacazette that can play alongside him. He is someone that I think is the perfect profile for Arsenal to look to not have to spend too much, but bring in, gives you goals. He's got 10 goals in 12 Belgian League games so far this season. Seems very capable, and I'd be interested in it. Certainly one that we need to do a little bit more research in. Certainly one I'll have to be doing maybe a tactical breakdown on him very, very soon. But very interesting that we're looking at this, that Onuachu as a striker that Arsenal could pursue in the upcoming windows. Stay tuned, stay real, and we will keep you up to date with everything that goes on around the Nigerian forward. And that brings an end to all of the transfer news and, of course, the fitness news as well, which means we move on to the final part of the show, which is to get your thoughts, your theories, your questions and queries into the chat box. Please do throw them in, and we will try and go through as many of them as feasibly possible. Vinny says, if we do get Europe next season, how much centre-back cover do you think we will need? Would White, Gabriel, Saliba and Ballard be sufficient? It's a good question. Is that enough? Do you think if one gets injured, then you start using your primary options in the Europa League? I think you need 5, but Tomiyasu, remember, can also play in that position. So you've got technically 5 options. You've got Tierney, who's played there too. We've got Harry Clark as well, who's currently spending time scoring some ridiculous goals and doing some even more ridiculous celebrations with Ross County in Scotland. So you've got that option. You've also got the under-23s that are there. You've got Omar Rekic that's also coming through with that side. You've got Zunlui as well. And there's one other one I think I'm forgetting as well. But we've got a few more centre-backs involved with the team. Dinzei, I think, is a centre-back who we signed from Spurs a couple of years ago. So there are options. But is 4 starters, senior players, enough? I'm not sure that 4 is. I think you need 5. But maybe we do have enough cover in that position. Nikolai says, Tom, you didn't say who you would want to see at left back. Nikolai, against Liverpool, I do lean towards Tierney for his experience, but the idea of playing a back 3 with Tierney and Tavares playing together, I think is also something that I would definitely consider doing. So there you go. Let's go to Harun, who says, do you think we should get Nkunku to play as a striker? Not as a striker. I look at him very much as an attacking midfielder, someone who can play behind the striker or alongside, kind of off the striker. I like him a lot. I'll be very happy if we signed him. I think he's an excellent player. Art says, do you think Arsenal's loss to Watford will take Arsenal back to square one? I think it would be a massively damaging result if Arsenal were to lose or even just draw this game. It is a game that Arsenal absolutely need to win if they've got ambitions to try and get to those European places next season, to even compete and stay up there in the race for a top 4 place. It's very quickly. We've got a Manchester derby this weekend. One of Man City or Man United will drop points. And therefore, if Arsenal win this game, they will either go clear of Manchester United or they could even catch up to Manchester City. Lots of things could yet happen. We just need to focus on winning our game and hope that the boys can do the business. Is Ballard left or right-footed? I believe he's right-footed, Sam. I'm pretty sure he's right-footed. Paul says, Onuachu adds height and scores goals, but his first touch is poor and he's not great. He's not got great pace. He's not better than what we've got. And I don't think he's designed to be, Paul, better necessarily than Aubameyang. I think he'd be looked at as a striker that could add some verticality to our team, that would be brought in to be brought off the bench for kind of plan B situations, to start kind of games in which we're in the cup or stuff like that. I think he would be used for that type of thing. Priyank says, for striker, we should only target Dusan Vlahovic. He can be as good as Haaland. He is linked with Spurs. Hopefully that will not happen. Hopefully not. I like Vlahovic. He's kind of the one exception to my rule of signing a really young striker this summer. I think we should be looking for a more experienced, mid-20s, established forward. But he is a bit of an exception to the rule on that one. Wesley says, hi, Tom. Hi, everyone. Haven't been in here much. Are you still Arteta out? As I said before, I need to see consistency to get back on the Arteta train. Everything he's doing is right. 2 wins on the spin. Really good performances. Let's see where we are at Christmas. If we're in with a shout of still pushing for that European place, then we're behind him all the way. We're behind him all the way anyway. But to get back onto that Arteta train, we need to see some consistent, strong performances and some big wins. We've got some big games against Liverpool, Man United, Everton, West Ham. All of them are coming up. They are going to be the real litmus tests to see whether or not Arteta is indeed the right man and if he has indeed turned the corner at the club. Matt Thornton says, how many players do you see leaving in the summer apart from the ones that are out of contract? That's a good question. Let me have a look at the squads. Let's go through the squad. Do I see leaving or staying? You guys can join me with doing this. Leno, I think he'll go. Ramsdale, he'll stay. Okonkwo, he'll stay. Tierney, stay. Ben White, stay. Gabriel, stay. Rob Holding, go. Cedric, go. Tavares, stay. Tomiyasu, stay. Callum Chambers, go. Pablo Murray, I think he'll probably stay, even though we should probably look to move him on. Kolasinac, I think he'll move on in January. Thomas, stay. Saka, stay. Erdegaard, stay. Smith Rowe, stay. Maitland-Niles, go. Lokonga, go. El Neni, go. Xhaka, stay. Lacazette, go. Aubameyang, stay. Nicolas Pepe, I think he'll stay, but I would at this point in time sell him. Balogun, stay. Nketiah, go. Martinelli, stay. Runnison, go. Bellerin, go. Saliba, stay. Mavropanos, go. Torreira, go. Guendouzi, go. Nelson, go. So there you go. All of the squads highlighted there for you. And it means that we may have to do quite a bit of business. Did I say Lokonga go? Sorry, Lokonga stay. I don't know why I said Lokonga go. I was on a proper rampage of people to leave. Lokonga stay. Stay, Lokonga, please. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Abe says, we should give Martinelli more chances at striker. His dribbling and passing is not great for a winger, and his natural instinct to score goals makes him a great option. Martinelli, I think, needs more time. Like, we need to see Martinelli given more minutes, and that is a player that we hopefully will see get more time in the African Cup of Nations situation. When you've got kind of when you've got a situation where Pepe's going, where Aubameyang, who can play in a wider position, is going, you would think that Martinelli would be able to be given more opportunities, but that's the thing. Akshat says, oh my God, Tom, you want to sell Guendouzi? You're a hater and you have an agenda. Look, he's going no matter what. He can't stay. They have an obligation to buy in their contract. So unless Guendouzi turns around and says, I don't want to go, even then I'm not sure if that would change things. I think that we would see Guendouzi say, look, guys, look, it was a Freudian slip. I don't think Lokonga should go. I was so on my go rampage, I completely skipped over Lokonga. Lokonga stay. Lokonga stay. Sorry, Lokonga. Please forgive me. Please. Jay Dime says, hi, Tom. What do you reckon about Zakaria? I would sign Zakaria on a free in the summer, but I don't think he should be kind of the only midfielder we go for. If we're moving on to Torreira, El Neni, Guendouzi's going, Xhaka is still here, but at the end of the day, we need a marquee midfield signing. I don't think Zakaria is that. I mean, Xhaka keeps him out of the Swiss team, and I know he's a different player for Switzerland, but still, I would sign someone much, much better. Caps, you say Guendouzi should stay, but he can't. He's going. So we need to build a bridge and get over this one, because there's no point lingering about Guendouzi. He's gone. As far as I'm aware, he's gone. Walk says, we need 3 top players to compete with the best centre midfielder, winger, striker. Would you agree? I think that we need at least 2. We need a central midfielder and we need the striker. Winger, I'm not as sure about. Maybe depth-wise we need them, but Smith Rowe and Saka are really good options for us. But I think that the 2, if Arsenal in the summer signed a world-class striker, a world-class centre midfielder, and then signed a couple of kind of depth players at right back if we sell off a few, maybe in a wing position, I'm fine with that. I think we've got a really good foundation for a squad. But the only 2 really big signings I think we need are striker and centre mids. I think you've got enough in the wing positions with Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli. You've got to think about the players we've got coming through as well, like Amari Hutchinson, Keto Taylor-Hart. I think if we sign, say, a Noah Lang for a £20 million kind of deal, if they would accept that, they may want more. That's another good option as a young guy coming through. Midfield, you add that central midfielder that's the top quality player, like a Guimaraes or a Fabian Ruiz or one of these like top quality central midfielders. And then you can maybe add someone at right back to cover if we sell off Cedric and Chambers and Maitland-Niles. You add someone in there, but you have got Zach Swanson coming through. You've got Norton Cuffy coming through, who at the moment is injured, but is still very highly rated. So there is lots of options for Arsenal this summer. But I just think that we need 2 big signings, and then maybe a smattering of depth into the team. That's what I would look to do. But it's November, guys. While we're talking about the summer, it's November. We've got a long way to go before we hit that summer window chat. Matt G says, is Torreira alone with an option or an obligation? It's with an option, I believe, of around £12 million. So, I mean, they may get a lot of money for Fiorentina in the summer if Vlahovic does leave. So they may be inclined. He's just breaking into that team at the moment. He didn't really start the season all that well, Torreira, but he is starting now to break his way into the Fiorentina, the La Viola team. So, fingers crossed that they not take the bait, but you know what I mean, that they just bring in a couple of, they have enough money to bring in Torreira on a permanent deal, because he's not going to get a chance at Arsenal. I think that I would have liked to have seen him give an opportunity, but it's just not going to happen. Matt says, would you get Zakaria on a pre-contract? I suppose that's what you have to do, really, isn't it? Like, he can talk to other clubs in January. I think that is certainly something that we would look to do if we can. Or you sign him in January for a smaller fee and you say to Gladbach, look, he's 8 million quid. You won't get any money from him in the summer. We'll take him now and see what happens. Possibly that's what we got to do. Priyank says, are you happy with the strikers that we're linked with? I mean, we've been linked with so many that it's impossible not to be. We've been linked with Alexander Isak. We've been linked with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We've been linked with Ollie Watkins. We've been linked with Yusuf Nesri. We've linked now with Onuachu. We've been linked with Vlahovic. We've been linked with pretty much all the strikers that are about. So, yeah, I am happy because I think a lot of those I would take at Arsenal. So, there you go. Langer, do you think Spurs be willing to sell Kane? No. Well, actually, I hope that they do. Or do I? I kind of like seeing him suffer at Spurs at the moment, to be fair. That's funny. Lucas says, hi, Tom. Is Fabian Ruiz solid in the defensive areas? I would really like to see Partey get up and further utilise. Yeah, look, Fabian Ruiz has played in the deeper midfield number 6 position for quite some time. He's a very good player. He's got that in his game. He's kind of like a taller, more defensive Santi in a way. He's got that passing elegance about his game that I like. Not two-footed. He is very much left-footed. Can use his right, but he's much more left-footed. So, yeah, but he can defend and has played deeper for Napoli as well. Any Ødegaard's any concerns about Ødegaard's dip lately? No, not really. I mean, I thought he came on and did really well against Leicester. Some of the passes he played into Saka in the box were brilliant. I thought he was good. So, no concerns for me about Ødegaard. He's just not in the team at the moment. Sam says, England squad announced at 2 p.m. Who do you think will be called up? Look, if Ben White and Smith Rowe are not in this team, I don't know what they have. The fact that Ben White was not even in the shortlist for Arsenal's Player of the Month award is frankly a joke. Like, he has been so consistent and so positive for us. The amount of agendas as well I've seen against Ben White, people saying that he's not been... I mean, the level of kind of the Saliba-affected hatred that goes towards Ben White and the constant hyperbolic reaction to a couple of fouls on James Maddison against Leicester to completely ignore the passing display and the defensive solidity that he brought us it's really, really frustrating. Ben White has been, for me, my Player of the Month for Arsenal. He should be in the England squad, as should Smith Rowe. Ramsdale should be starting for England. He's England's number one, in my view. He's been the best English goalkeeper. Let's be real. Pickford's letting in goals hand over fist right now for Everton. And Bukayo Saka obviously gets in the team. It's ridiculous how White is looked over by so many people still. It really frustrates me. And you've got Saliba stands out there. I love Saliba. I want him to come back and play, but you can't let him affect your view of Ben White. It's ridiculous to do so. And I think he's proving himself a very, very good signing for us, a massive upgrade on what we had already. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him continue on and continue to prove people wrong. That's for sure. Langer says, would you sell Saka and or Smith Rowe, and for how much? No, and for nothing. Like, not for nothing, but you know what I mean? They're priceless to us. I absolutely would not sell them whatsoever. Rohit says, Ben White needs to show more. No ways in the running for Player of the Month, 5th or 6th choice. Rohit, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Ben White's been awesome. Against Brighton, he was one of the most key figures in making sure they didn't score. Against Crystal Palace, his playing out from the back was the only thing that we had getting us out from the back. Everyone else was letting us down in that game. Ben White was pushing us forwards. Against Aston Villa and Leeds, those two games, his influential passing. The Leeds game, I know it was in the League Cup. They're still a Premier League side. He was taking the game to Leeds ridiculously well. And against Leicester, bar the 2 fouls on James Maddison, his passing game was great. His relieving pressure on the defence was great. There is an agenda against him. I'm certain of it. He has been so good for us. And, you know, haters want to hate. That's all I'll say. Haters want to hate. It's all that it is. Carl says, agreed, Tom. If I'd have been able to vote for Benjamin, Benjamin, let's give him the respect he deserves. Benjamin White deserved to be in that Player of the Month running. Absolutely. Zach says, oh my God, we have 3 amazing centre-backs. Why would anyone be negative? Because, you know, it's Arsenal fans. That's what you do. Ben White has successfully snuffed out Kane and Vardy. Yeah, I mean, he's kept both of them quiet now this season. Brilliant stuff. Philip says, random question, but if you had to pick one Arsenal player to play the next 10 games in 10 different outfield positions, who would you be picking? in 10 outfield positions. Who can play every position? You have a feeling that Tomiyasu would do it. Tomiyasu would do it. Partey would do it. I reckon that Tierney would do it. Saka, you could argue, could do it as well. So you got to pick between Saka, Partey, Tomiyasu, and Tierney. Maybe even Tavares as well, actually. I'd probably aim for Saka. I think Saka would give you the most in all positions. So there we go. Bukayo Saka for me. Who, by the way, Rohit, Saka is not in the player of the month. He's not in the player of the month for me over Ben White. That's ridiculous. Even Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu was poor against Brighton. Tomiyasu was poor against Crystal Palace. And I say poor in the context of him. Not in the sense of like he was awful. But Tomiyasu, in regards to kind of the players that the games that Tomiyasu's played for us this season, he wasn't anywhere near as good as he has been against both Brighton and against Crystal Palace. So how you can put him above Ben White shows the agenda. It shows the clear agenda against Ben White, that's for sure. Anyway, we are going to wrap things up there, people. I will see you this afternoon, actually. I'll be doing a show, another report. We did a show on William Saliba yesterday, so make sure that you tune in for that. We're doing a show on Arsenal's youth team, who currently sit top of the under-23s PL2 table. So do make sure you tune in 5 o'clock today. And then a little bit later from that, I'll be going on the Chronicles of a Gooner for the next Canton and Simeon show on Harry's channel. So make sure that you tune in this evening for that. I'm sure we'll be tweeting out over on @TheGooner Talk TV and Chronicles of a Gooner and Harry Simeon's Twitter and mine as well when we'll be doing that. So make sure that you are tuning in this afternoon for the couple of shows that will be coming out on your platforms. Turn those notifications on so you never miss a show. And drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are indeed new. We will see you very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.